Hello, I'm Kim Williams from Kansas State University. In this eGrow presentation, we'll cover the crop maintenance activity of pinching plants. The focus will be primarily on manual pinching, keying in on techniques and timing, but the presentation will end with just a few comments about chemical pinching. Pinching is defined as the removal of the apical meristem, or the growing point of a shoot, to encourage lateral branching and the development of a fuller plant. Pinching is a critical operation that should be done on time and with attention to detail. Both of the mums in this photo are from a single cutting, and you can see that the potted mum on the left was pinched while the one on the right was not. The pinched plant is more aesthetically pleasing. Pinching influences plant shape and fullness. As shown with poinsettia, many smaller inflorescences are produced instead of one larger one, thanks to the pinch. 1 to 2 weeks after each of the 5 mum cuttings that are potted in this container were pinched, new growth from axillary buds have broken on each stem, resulting at this point in 1/2 to 1 inch of soft new growth. These new shoots are often called breaks. As we focus on how to manually pinch, let's begin by reviewing a couple key pieces of plant terminology. Nodes are where leaves are attached and have axillary buds, from which side shoots emerge. An axillary shoot is noted with the blue arrow in the photo. Internodes, on the other hand, are the space between the nodes, and their elongation is usually what contributes to plant stretch. To manually pinch, we want to remove the shoot just above a node, removing the majority of the internode tissue, but taking great care not to physically damage the small axillary bud from which a new side shoot, or break, will emerge. Deciding where to pinch is often based on how many nodes the grower wants to leave on the stem. After a pinch, most of the nodes will generate a new shoot from the axillary bud, so this decision is an important one in managing plant architecture. On the potted crops like poinsettia and mums, it's common to pinch to leave about 5 to 7 nodes. Relative consistency in pinching from pot to pot is important for crop uniformity. A soft pinch, as is being done in the photo at left, is the removal of a small amount of soft tissue at the terminal growing point of a shoot. This is typically no more than 1/2 inch of growth. A couple weeks later, the axillary shoots are developing, as shown in the photo on the right. A hard pinch, on the other hand, involves removal of more than 1 inch or 2 of shoot tissue and several nodes. This inevitably gets into woodier plant tissue. Another important idea with regard to pinching is to be sure to leave enough foliage to support the growth of the axillary shoots that will develop from the buds and the nodes. The plant on the left had adequate photosynthetic area remaining on the pinched plant, but foliage on the plant on the right is a little bit on the thin side. This idea is parallel to the concept of leaving a survival shoot on a plant when severely cutting it back. Consider the perennial in the photo. A single shoot, a survival shoot, remains on the plant after cutting it back, solely to provide photosynthetic capacity to support development of new shoot tissue. Crop loss is dramatically reduced when survival shoots are left on the plant. In this case, however, these well-established geranium stock plants are being severely cut back after rounds of harvesting cuttings to reshape them as a crop to finish for Mother's Day sale. So, decisions about the amount of pinching and cutting back to perform is a function of species response, length of the production cycle, and desired impact on plant architecture. In thinking about when to pinch, an old rule of thumb is a helpful place to start. Pinch when the shoots of a transplanted cutting reach the edge of the container, as in this photo. This is typically about 2 weeks after potting a rooted cutting, depending on season of the year, container size, and plant species, among other factors. But of course, rules of thumb are meant to be broken. It's becoming increasingly common to pinch in the plug or liner stage, as you see in this photo of a snapdragon plug. Note that the pinch left the cotyledons and one pair of true leaves on the plant and was done after the seedling had a vigorous root system. The advantage of pinching before transplant is that the plant's architecture is established early and production time when plants are at a larger spacing is reduced. This concept has been evolved to an enhanced liner product that, in the liner tray, undergoes a pinch or two, plant growth regulator applications, and sometimes photoperiod manipulation. The resulting premium liner spends more weeks in the liner production phase, but requires fewer weeks for the finished grower after transplant. While pinching and cutting back can be done manually, a variety of machines have been developed to accomplish the task. Some, as in this photo, collect waste from the process via vacuum. Others just involve mounting a modified lawnmower on a conveyor belt and feeding flats through. The last topic of this presentation focuses on chemical pinching, which involves the use of chemicals applied as foliar sprays to induce branching of a crop. There are two key chemicals today that are applied to influence plant branching, though their modes of action are different. Ethifon, with trade names of Florel and Pistil, is the first, and dikegulac sodium, with trade names of Agio and Atramec, is the second. Both chemicals can also contribute to bud and flower abscission, as well as plant branching, so timing, application rate, and crop sensitivity must be understood and taken into consideration when they're used. In fact, you might recall from just a couple slides ago that I mentioned that enhanced liners have been treated with plant growth regulators to enhance branching and plant architecture. The chemical at work here is typically Ethifon, which, after application, transitions to the plant hormone ethylene. Chemicals like dikegulac function to disrupt cell wall integrity, which contributes to breaking of apical dominance and lateral branching. You can see an example of the desired Agio effect in the poinsettia on the left, which provides visual indication that the application is working. So in closing, pinching is an important crop maintenance process that dramatically influences a plant's architecture and aesthetic appeal. While it can be done either manually or with chemical application, and timing depends on several factors that were discussed in this presentation, it's important that it be managed carefully during production. My sincere thanks to the Fred C. Glockner Foundation for supporting this eGrow University presentation.